President Muhammadu Buhari began the year on a political note as he received various aspirants who apprised him of their intention to succeed him in 2023 under the All Progressives Congress. 23 aspirants, including the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, threw their hats into the ring as all eyes in the party rested on President Buhari to provide support in the selection process.
Mr. President would want a vibrant, experienced, energetic, patriotic Nigerian to take over from him. I possess all of these qualities.
As the politicking intensified, President Buhari put his ministers under the microscope and in a most assertive move asked those seeking elective positions to resign. 7 members of the cabinet subsequently resigned their positions.
The departure of some cabinet members has undoubtedly created a vacuum that should be filled.
One of the few defining moments for the administration is the ratification of the plan to defer the removal of fuel subsidy to the next administration through an 18-month extension.
We will propose an 18-month extension, and then, of course, it's up to the National Assembly to look at it and then pass the amendment as they see fit.
June 2023 is the day, but you can just say the quantum of resources that is needed to subsidize. We are talking of 3.5 trillion in 2023. By January next year, with significant production resumed by the Port Harcourt refineries, that will halt our refined petroleum imports.
On June 27, an acting Chief Justice of the Federation, Justice Ulukayodi Ariwola, was sworn in by the President to replace Justice Ibrahim Tanko, who retired voluntarily on health grounds.
So help me God.
The weekly Federal Executive Council meeting held for most of the period under review. It gave major presidential assents and approvals, including the Executive Order No. 10, which granted financial autonomy to the judiciary and the legislature at the state level, as well as the Electoral Amendment Bill signed by the President, among others. Undoubtedly, the signed Electoral Amendment Bill effectively marked a turning point for the electoral system and for the President, who also invested time to critically review the performance of each ministry against the backdrop of his 9-point agenda.
We also have the rating on industrial dispute management, and it was very good. We were scored summa cum laude, and you know that a lot of things are happening in that industry.
Just as the federal government pushed to address the protracted face-off with ASU, it also fought to douse lingering insecurity, particularly after the Abuja-Kaduna train incident.
The first assignment is given to the security agencies, especially the armed forces and the police, is to rescue those that are in captivity.
The infamous challenge of crude oil theft reached its peak by the last quarter of the year, as more shocking discoveries were made. When viewed through the lens of declining revenue and soaring debt profile, the need to fight it head-on became crucial.
The oil theft alone is very scary. The aversion of many taxes that are being collected is also a great concern. There are so many areas where if government is serious about it, they will be able to raise more resources, more revenue to be able to finance development.
In fulfilling one of his cardinal objectives of tackling corruption, the President approved the redesign of the nation's currency.
Not much time has been given to even educate the Nigerians, because a lot of Nigerians have no access to Android phone or phone that has internet that you can do banking. It's not every Nigerian who has access to that.
One of the highlights of the President's last term in office was the conferment of the 2022 National Honours Award on 450 notable individuals. Now, in spite of some of the achievements viewed as the high watermarks of this administration, Nigerians clearly would like to see a whole lot more traction recorded in critical areas like education, energy, and even corruption to boost the nation's economic fortunes in the months ahead. From the presidential villa, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
Well, we spoke to a development consultant and public affairs analyst, Mr. Ezo Yekpere, and I started by asking him to assess the presidency's handling of major national issues in light of what the administration promised in 2022.
2022 has been a very troubling year for majority of Nigerians. We are not even looking at it from the angle of what exactly was promised at the beginning of the year, but the general promise of the administration. At least in this year, we had more Nigerians fall into poverty, as gleaned from the official statistics of the NBS. The insecurity continued, and it was a terrible year for human infrastructure in terms of education, the long-lasting ASUU strike, as well as the thousands of qualified medical personnel, the doctors and the nurses who were leaving the country. It was also a year that we witnessed the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation not depositing a dime into the Federation account for sharing by the trade tiers of government. We had incessant fuel scarcity and all kinds of challenges. A situation like I'm in my village today, where we are paying 330 naira per liter, and it's still part of the millions of barrels, the millions of liters every day that an NPC still claims subsidy on. So many more Nigerians fell into poverty. There was more hardship. There was more misery. Insecurity continued. Education had a crisis. Health had a crisis. Essentially, we are also witnessing a monetary policy crisis, issues around inflation hitting the roof, and of course the recent monetary policy crisis engineered by the CBN and the DSS coming in. So a whole lot of challenges.
Mr. Yekpere, are you saying
Nigerians will rather wish to not to repeat in 2023? Whatever happened this year, we don't think we want to have such an experience in 2023.
Are you saying there were no developmental milestones?
Well, in terms of developmental milestones, Nigeria has expected that being the last year of the administration, I mean, less than 6 months after December, that the government will have been tidying up whatever loose ends that we are still there. We had expected more dedication in terms of cleaning out the insecurity mess. We had expected also completing a lot of projects that the administration has started. Okay, issues around the rail lines, particularly the Eastern Corridor, that nothing has been done. Issue around making electricity much more regular, having more power for the use of Nigerians. Issues around even the economy in terms of tidying up the debt situation and reducing borrowing, stabilize the economy. So a lot was expected. But unfortunately, we didn't get much positive milestones this year. A lot of what we got was a little bit negative.
When we talk about the redesign of the Naira, the new CBN's cash withdrawal limits, which are backed by the president and said to be part of ways to curb corruption, among other benefits, do you think this will have the desired effect?
No. If you look at what is happening today, we are almost at the end of the year, and we were promised that by the end of January, the old currency will cease to be legal tender, and the new ones, okay, will be everywhere. I was in the bank on the either 22nd or 23rd specifically in Owerri, and all I got was still the old notes. Indeed, I went to the bank to get some cash, but I was told that no matter whatever I've written in my checkbook, I could only get 50,000. And the 50,000 that was disbursed to me was the old notes. So how can we be planning for those old notes to be legal tender by the 30th of January, and we are still paying them out as now? In terms of even the restriction, I don't see how feasible that will be, considering that there are still a lot of places, local areas, people who are transacting in this cash business, who do not even have access to the electronic portal. And even at the bank where I went to collect money, we were there for almost 40 minutes, and they told us that their server was down, and they were having connectivity problems.
That is also
so how can
why
we really begin
the Senate is saying, a member of the Senate is saying perhaps this should be extended, a few more months to enable a lot of people, check in the old money. But then we're looking at just a few months to the exit of power. What should the presidency place as priority? Just in a few seconds, if you can.
Security is number one. He should try to stabilize the quality in terms of security. Secondly, he should also make sure he hands over through a free and fair electoral process. He should give INEC whatever it needs, including that security, because a lot of the offices are being burned, so that we'll have a credible election. And whoever becomes president after him will now start from a clean state, because there's not much he can do now, and then take the necessary steps after he has left.
We always appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us on the news at 10, Mr. Eze Onyekere, legal practitioner and development expert. Thanks again.